who's going to be playing Jet Set Radio Future. Whenever you are ready to get started, just give me a countdown and I will start the timer.
Yep. Okay, so I think we can go straight into it. So 3, 2, 1, go. And this is Jet Set Radio Future. We're going to have a quick tutorial to start with, where they're going to tell us very basic stuff, but then we have a cutscene, which is a perfect time to actually go over more about the game. So, I'm Acebats. With me on the couch is Eclopicious.
Hello.
And yeah, this is a very basic tutorial starting out. Just, jump, do some grinds. So, do you want to tell us a bit about this game, Ecla?
Yeah, I can do that. So, Jet Set Radio Future is the successor, not the sequel, to the original Jet Set Radio for Dreamcast. It's kind of like an alternate universe, similar kind of story, similar kind of premise, but the gameplay is quite significantly different, and we'll see that before too terribly long. Whilst the original JSR has its more arcadey style, kind of individual level focus, Jet Set Radio Future is more open world. It has kind of collectathon aspects to it. And yeah, we'll be moving through levels, spraying graffiti, we'll be collecting graffiti souls, unlocking characters, and eventually beating the big bad, which is the Rokaku Police and Rokaku Goji. So definitely some similarities to the original JSR, but in terms of gameplay, feels very different.
Yeah, and so in this tutorial it's just telling us how to pick up cans, how to spray graffiti. Both of those things are going to be a key part of this game, especially early on. This game's kind of split up into two separate sections, I want to say. You've got the first kind of 4 chapters, which are, go around, go to this area, spray graffiti. And then you've got kind of the variety pack, I like to say, of the later levels. Here's the first DJ Press a K cutscene of the game. He's going to tell us about the story. Long story short, there's 2 main bad guys, much like mirroring the real world. There's the 2 main bad guys, rival gangs, and the Rokaku group. So the Rokaku group's kind of the overall kind of mega corporation that's going to be trying to stop us out of the game. They've got their own police force, they've got their own assassins later on, they've got a bit of everything. But on a smaller scale, we've also got to worry about rival gangs who are spraying our turf. So the first 4 chapters of the game are going to be us going around to different areas of the game, spraying all the graffiti there to kind of re-establish our turf.
Yeah, and then going after the big bad towards the end of the game, which, like Acebats said, the game does feel like it's kind of split into 2 halves in that regard.
It's almost like a running joke where if you can get past chapter 4, you've started your run. Because up until that point, that's all the tricky bits, and then you can kind of chill after that point.
Yeah, and as a speedrun, Jet Set Radio Future is very movement intensive, very little time to rest. Except for in these short cutscenes. This is the longest one in the game. It's about 2-3 minutes. And then we get very brief ones at the start of each chapter, which is really our only chance to take a break from constant movement and preservation of momentum.
And also, if you ever want to read out donations, just interrupt us during these cutscenes, because this is a perfect time for them. There's quite a few throughout the game.
Yeah, and in the speedrun context, movement is the most important thing about this game. It's relatively light on glitches, sequence breaks, and things like that. There are a few, and they do come kind of quick and fast throughout the run. And, yeah, we'll start to see them maybe about 20 minutes into the run. And then they kind of all come very quickly, one after the other, and then after that, kind of back to a degree of normalcy of just moving quickly through the levels.
The DJ K is telling us about how he forgot to wear his underwear, which means we're about to start, which is exciting. And we're going to do the first level of the game, which is probably, I think, it might be my favourite level in the game because of its pure simplicity. So, this is Dogenzaka Hill. It is just a circuit. You just go around the level once, spray out the graffiti, and everything's good. Which, when you're running this game, I think is very, very exciting. Just because it's such an easy level to kind of gauge how your movement is overall. Like if you get a slow Dogen, you might need to worry about it. If you get a fast Dogen, everything's good.
Yeah, I like to think of it as an extended tutorial. It really does a good job of showing everything that you're going to be doing over the course of the run, outside of like the major sequence breaks, which are level exclusive.
So here I'm going to jump to the right and boost, and I'm going to get one of the collectibles. Throughout the level there's these graffiti souls, and they're the kind of main collectible in the run. We need to collect, I think it's 20 throughout the entire run. up until a certain point, 'cause there's a character that if you don't have enough graffiti souls, he'll just say, "Hey, you don't have enough graffiti souls, I'm not going to talk to you." And he's actually required to continue with the run. So, ideally we pick up all the graffiti souls we can, particularly the fast ones. This level's good for graffiti souls because we can pick up the... So there's 3 defaults to every level. And here's the first bit of graffiti. There's 3 graffiti souls just scattered about levels in most instances, and then you can unlock additional ones, which you only do once, because it can take a bit extra time to actually do the unlock requirements. So here we're just going to go spray all the graffiti, use our boost dash.
Yeah, what you'll see in Acebats doing here quite a lot is using 10 of his spray cans to boost dash, and that gives us the fastest movement option in the game. It lasts about 10 seconds, and normally, and by design I believe, after that 10 seconds you revert back to normal skating speed, which is pretty much the slowest way of moving in the game. And in order to preserve that, every time that we complete a boost, or sometimes if we come off rails, we will do the shuffle maneuver, which is right there. And that actually slows our deceleration and preserves a lot of our speed. So we're going to be seeing a lot of boosting, a lot of shuffling to keep the speed up throughout the entire level.
And so that's all the graffiti in Dogensaka Hill. And we get to meet Beat, who is on the cover of the game. We just get to meet him now. He's gonna just kind of tell us, hey, follow me for a bit. We think he's been spreading some nasty rumours about us, which we don't appreciate very much. We don't really do anything about it, we just kind of skate about for a bit. And then he's like, oh, sorry, my friend, I will join you now. And that's how a lot of the conflicts resolve in this game. You do one thing and they're like, oh yeah, you're cool actually.
Yeah, we're just going to prove our worth to the Rudies on the street.
Yeah. So here he's just, we talk to him, we chase him, we talk to him, and then after this one, he's going to go, okay, let's do a race. So he's going to go run off, and he's going to wait for us. Meanwhile, we're going to have to follow him, but we're also going to have to make sure that we do 3 trick jumps, and that will be an unlock soul. So you may have seen, I got a tape earlier, which is the only tape I'm going to get, but picking that up is kind of the requirement in order to start unlocking souls.
Yeah, so as Acebats said, 3 of them spawn by default in the level. We picked up all 3 already. We're going to unlock one here by doing 3 air tricks and hitting the ground, and we'll come back and collect that later on in the game. Since, though we're about to do another lap level, it doesn't appear in the race, which is a theme that you'll notice throughout the game, is when we're in special events, there are a lot of things that we can't do. But yeah, like I said, Dogensaka Hill is like a very good extended tutorial because it shows you everything. It shows you collecting the default souls, it shows you unlocking a graffiti soul, it shows you a basic graffiti route, it shows you also a rival interaction. These things are consistent throughout the vast majority of the first half of the game, and a lot of the movement that you see here is staple to the game that you're going to be seeing throughout.
I suppose it's a good time to also mention the fact that this race is a good time to talk about kind of the movement hierarchy. Because we mentioned earlier that boosting is kind of the fastest way for us to get around normally, but the second fastest way is grinding. So whenever we're not grinding, ideally we're boosting. Because regular skating is, what, like 175 speed, whatever speed means in this game, compared to like 250. So it's just such a major improvement if we can stay on the grinds for as long as possible.
Yes, and in the vast majority of levels in the game, there are plenty of rails, there are plenty of cans, so that we can keep boosting.
Emphasis on vast majority.
Vast majority.
Shout out to Skyscraper.
There are a couple of levels in the game where they kind of take those training wheels away, if you will, and it's a lot more of a challenge of finding the fastest way through an area, through other means, when you're not just grinding on rails and boosting through the entire level. But we'll see those later on in the run. And having completed this race, another lap around Dogensaka Hill complete, we've proven our worth to Beat, and he is now going to join us, join our gang, and then we'll never see him again.
Yeah,
Which is
we're
the
not going to
recurring
swap
thing.
them.
It's
There's only
funny.
2 characters that matter in this, 3 that matter in this game, and one's only matters because we start with him, and it's faster just using the swap.
Yeah, we start the game with Yo-Yo, and we don't get the opportunity to swap until the start of the next chapter, unless we want to go out of our way to do so. So we're just waiting for the game prompts us. Then we switch to Gum, who we're going to use for the vast majority of the run. Then we'll be using another character at the end of the run. So unfortunately, Beat doesn't get any time in the speed run. And now we're doing the last major kind of component of this game, which is fighting the police. Hill, they sent 10 police officers to deal with one youth on the skates.
That's fine. Not ideal, but as long as we get them all. Yep, so they're kind of the main issues throughout the run. We'll see kind of the Rikoku police show up quite a while. They like to just get in the way, knock you down. For majority of the cockfights in the game, we have a good setup for them.
This is Shibuya Terminal.
This level coming up has a good one. But I think this level is,
cover up that
as Ekla mentioned, the extended tutorial, is good because we get to see a lot of quick turns. Do you want to quickly explain quick turns?
Yeah, so we did mention how Dokenzaki Hill is like a circuit, and that's one of two kind of types of levels in this game. The other being kind of a more open world level, open spread, and this is Shibuya Terminal, which is the first of those. And rather than grinding on rails and boosting throughout this level, we're going to be performing a technique called the quick turn. When you turn to the left, you can animation cancel that turn, and therefore preserve more of your speed and turn quicker. And that is the bread and butter of this level. The other part of that bread and butter being avoiding the traffic.
Hopefully. It's 50-50 whether or not I'll avoid the traffic.
But yeah, this level is a great movement exercise. I think a lot of people recommend it. Just practicing this level in particular and practicing the individual level in order to really get a handle on quick turns because they do appear throughout the game.
Yep, and we just narrowly avoided those cars there, which is good. Hopefully we can do the same here. Perfect. So, the cars are a bit evil, and I'm saying this partly because I also have run damage lists in the past. Their hitboxes are very generous to the car and not generous to you, and they will just kind of knock you over when you're kind of in the vague area of them at times. I don't know what exactly causes them to go, oh yeah, we're going to ruin your day right now, but it's just not getting hit by those cars there is a very good. So here we're going to beat Poison Jam. They like to live in the sewers for whatever reason, but here now they're out in Shibuya Terminal, which is way out of their turf. So we're kind of telling them off and saying, oi, that's our graffiti, what are you doing? They're going to start running away from us.
Yeah, very similar to the little mini-game that we did with Beat previously, we just the Chase Poison Jam around level. And what I like about this particular sequence is that it shows you parts of the level that you hadn't been to previously. The graffiti route takes us around the lower, like the floor level of Shibuya Terminal, and then this challenge shows you, hey, you can go up on these platforms here, which is going to be important in completions categories for coming back and unlocking all the graffiti souls and spraying additional graffiti later on in the game, which we don't do in any percent, fortunately, because it takes a very long time.
And while these kind of Poison Jam cutscenes are playing, you can really take in the lovely art design of this game. That's like one of the main things that kind of jumps out to people when they're like watching this or playing this for the first time on the original Xbox. It's just how good the soundtrack is for one. It really kind of captures going through, spraying graffiti, just doing skating stuff, and just loads of good songs throughout the game. But there's also the element of just the cel-shaded art style, which Jet Set Radio also used. This one uses them. I think we'll see this like later levels. There's a lot of levels where they almost feel believable, despite the fact you're looking at about 10 houses just stacked on one another. It's really impressive how they kind of try and make the world feel alive while also creating the most bizarre possible like areas to go around.
Yeah, I think believable is the right word for it, and the art direction in this game is honestly timeless. I think there are many original Xbox games that do not hold up nearly as well as this visually, but yeah, you play this like we are in 2022 and it still looks fantastic.
Yeah. And so here's Combo. I think Shibuya Terminal was his turf, and he thinks that we've been tagging over his sprays, but actually we've been tagging over Poison Jam sprays. But because we've done that, he thinks we tagged over his. So he's going to say, oh, I'm not happy about that. Do this very simple skating method, and I'll forgive you. So we're like, okay, that sounds like a good deal to us. So we're just going to follow the path he took with a few detours because it's faster. Ooh. Yeah, I missed that. Oops.
Yeah, we do like to cut corners where we can in these scripted events. We don't have to follow it to the T. We just kind of have to start in the right place, hit a couple of checkpoints along the way, and end in the right place.
Yeah.
But that does come with risk. Fortunately, plenty of cans around so that we can boost.
Yeah, we
keep
can
our
use
speed
a
up.
few boosts to slightly speed this up. I'm just going to take the normal way. Bit early on that. Unfortunate, but it's not a major time loss. There's
Yeah.
time saved later on for sure in terms of how my runs usually go, so...
Yeah, I think one of the big things about this game, like I said previously, is the movement is absolutely key to mastering this game. And you know, there's a massive difference between a world record time, which is about an hour and a half, and kind of your average run, which is an hour 45 to an hour 50. And it's not major skips. It's not out of bounds or sequence breaks. It is just having a mastery over the movement and finding small optimizations here and there wherever you can. And
I
it makes
mean, I
watching
think
this game.
I specifically say, because there's recently been a tutorial that you can find that kind of goes through how to speedrun this game. And one of the first things is, you can learn every skip in the game, but if you've got bad movement, you've got a problem. So
Yeah, and
we've just met
movement comes with
Hayashi
time.
as well, who is a very tragic character.
Yes, Hayashi is kind of this game's equivalent of Captain Ranishima. He runs around with a gun, he's very angry. Fortunately, and a big difference from the original Jet Set Radio Future, or the original Jet Set Radio, is that you can actually fight the police in this game, as opposed to just running away from them, and that's actually one of the core mechanics of Future that makes it different to the original game.
We don't actually have to spray down Hayashi either, so he just runs off here. So here's the next Siege Investigate cutscene, which kind of opens us up to the kind of first, I want to say open world chapter, but we have a very set order that we do things in because we don't really have another option.
In the speedrun context, yeah.
Yeah.
Even casually, you can partially complete certain levels before they make you go and do things in the right order.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the speedrun, we always go in the same order despite it being a little bit more open world. So yeah, chapter 1 does feel kind of like a basic tutorial of everything that you're going to see in the run, and chapter 2 is where things start to get a little crazy. It's where we start to see the first few sequence breaks and out of bounds and glitches and things like that, which again, there is not a massive amount of in the run, but they're pretty much concentrated between chapter 2 and 4.
Yeah. Make sure you say hello to I69. We're not going to see them again, except for one instance. And they kind of just disappear, which is tragic. One of my favourite character designs in the game, and you don't see them much.
Yeah, they are Poison Jam's rivals, but Poison Jam get a lot more screen time.
Yeah.
There ain't no telling who he'll shoot at. I mean, he's crazy.
Maybe that's why they're rivals. They're just really upset that Poison Jam's taking all the screen time.
Just the other day, he freaked
Oh yeah,
out and
here's
crashed the
Hayashi.
patrol car.
He's the crazy captain of the Rokkaku police,
And why? You may
trashing
ask.
patrol cars for
One of
simple
his subordinates
reasons.
went to buy him his favorite joint and came back with coffee instead.
And yeah, he just
What's
does
up with
that.
this
He's a bit crazy, but he's also a very tragic character. We'll get to hear a bit of that later on in Rokkaku Die Heights. Anyway, here we're going to swap to Gum, who has slightly better air control, which for many of the levels in the game just helps us out just enough. Overall, doesn't really change the stats that much, but it makes some of the skips better.
Crank up the
Yeah,
volume.
I'm gonna hopefully, I think I missed it, that's a shame. I'll go for boost list later.
Am I getting through
But
to you?
yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good example of why we switched to Gum, though, because doing that as Yo-Yo is... There's your traffic hitbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing that specific trick as Yo-Yo is... It's not impossible, but it's much, much, much harder.
Yeah.
Cornering is the most important stat in the game, I think it's fair to say, and Gums is the best that's available to us over the course of the 80% run.
Nasty graffiti and paint.
Yep. So here we've got Churro Street, great level, big fan. Jet Graffiti IL, very cool.
A gang has been spotted near Churro
So I'm
Street.
just gonna head up
All
here
squads to investigate.
and beg. So one of the things with cop fights in this game, we're going to be ambushed by a bunch of tanks shortly. But before then, they're going to just talk about how we're here and how they're not happy that we're here.
HQ to Armored Division. All
So while
tanks
they talk
stand
about that,
by.
we're going to spray some graffiti early on.
This is Armored Leader to all Armored
Yeah, this will be on the test. This is a very important feature of the game, is that the cops won't actually appear until they're finished talking. And in this case, it allows us to spray some graffiti ahead of time and save some time at the end of the level. It's going to come back several times over the course of the run for some much more major schemes.
Yeah. That graffiti there basically just makes it a lot easier later on in the level, because we're going to do a lap like Dogan's not going to do. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to do a similar thing here, except there's graffiti on the other side of that little kind of stairway section. Ooh. So doing it like that just means that we're able to just relax really, and when we get back to this section we just do the one side run on both sides. So now there's just tanks.
Yep, natural escalation. 10 police officers, then 20 police officers, and now 6 tanks.
Yeah, 20 police officers and a guy with a gun, and now tanks. And a guy with a gun.
Fortunately, like everything in this game, the tanks are weak to spray paint.
Yeah.
Very convenient for us.
Of course, very convenient design decision to make the tanks vulnerable to spray paint.
But yeah, it's a very simple matter of just spraying them 3 times and then moving on. Again, lots and lots of cans in these early levels, so that we're never really running out. But we will we'll employ a certain method in just a moment to make sure that we don't run out. Hayashi does appear the second time.
Hayashi's calling us out for some reason. So we're going to go knock him down a peg or 2. Specifically off this building. Don't worry, he'll be fine.
Yeah, so this is our second interaction with Hayashi. The first time we could ignore him completely. The second time, instead of spraying him...
Well, that's unfortunate. We are spraying him.
Well, we are spraying. You can knock him off the building.
Not want to budge.
It saves time, it saves some cans as
It
well.
only saves a few seconds though. It's not like a major thing. It's just cool. But, oh well.
But now we've basically done the cop encounter in Chuo Street, and we can get back to our regularly scheduled spraying graffiti. You can see immediately with Chapter 2 they start to switch the formula up a little bit. Instead of putting the cop fights at the end of the level, like we had in the Shibuya Terminal, they put this one at the beginning. Later levels that we kind of split throughout the levels. So yeah, things start to get a little bit more interesting, a little bit more mixed up in Chapter 2. But yeah, we're kind of just back on the spraying a graffiti, go a lap around the level kind of deal. Nice.
Classic frame boost.
That was a frame boost.
Blink and you miss it kind of deal.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing to talk about, given there's not much else to talk about in Chuo Street, because nothing really happens. There is... Well, it's a glitch. I think it's fair to say it's a glitch. It's
not
very
intended.
hard to replicate in that it is a single frame window. But when you land on a rail, the game automatically boosts your speed so that you're not crawling along. And if you jump off of that rail in the same frame that you land on the rail, so 1 frame window on a 60 FPS game, you will break the speed cap effectively, and that is stackable. So if you continue to chain these frame perfect tricks, you can continue to break the speed to incredible levels. And that's where individual levels are kind of made or broken, is on these frame perfect tricks.
Yeah. So we can try and get a... Oh no. Oh, we got one there.
There we go.
Oh, and a kiss. Nice.
There's a kiss on the wall there. So wall rides work effectively the same as rails. If you click the very end of them and you spend only 1 frame on them, you'll get that speed boost as well. And this level, in the individual level context, has a ridiculous chain of these frame perfect tricks that saves an immense amount of time. Yes, as we have the previous Chuo Street Jet Graffiti World record holder here.
Soon to be world record holder again. Coming for you now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, those frame perfect tricks are not something that is ever really required in the any % run. It helps. I can give a couple of contexts where they make certain very difficult tricks a lot easier, but again, it's a 1 in 60 frame shot, so
Yeah.
it's not easy.
I don't think even Yayo
Looks
wouldn't
like
want to add
those
a
little
frame
beast
boost
fiends
required
have
trick into any percent.
Please don't feed the
Yayo
animals.
likes to put some really fun tricks in this game,
I
but
mean,
even that's kind of a
People
step
did
too
try
far.
it with Kibo for a while, but then we found a faster method so that we didn't need to use a frame perfect trick.
Yeah, just find a faster way of doing it without frame perfect tricks. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, as we
Spitfire.
said, as we said, there are not a massive amount of like glitches and things like that in the game, but we are pretty much approaching the point at which we will start to see some of them. And you'll notice that Poison Jam appeared in Chuo Street, but we have left Chuo Street without dealing with them.
Just we don't even acknowledge it. It's just normal.
It's normal for you,
Yeah.
perhaps. Not for me, because I run
Oh,
the one
PJ
category,
glitchless.
yeah, where we actually race them. But yeah, they want to race around Chuo Street, but that takes like 2
This is
minutes.
Lukaku
So
They want to
we're
race
just
around
not gonna
Chuo
do that.
Street, so that takes time. Then they want you to talk to them multiple times here with cutscenes, which takes more time.
This joint and put
And
the
then
smack
the
down
only
on
thing that
Poison
really
Jay.
accomplishes is they open up a way for the second half of the level to actually be done. But we use some creative movement, let's say, to just avoid that entirely.
Yeah, so if you were to come here before you came to Chuo Street, you would only be able to do the first half of this level, and you'd be blocked off, and they'd tell you to go to Chuo Street and be poisoned down there. We go to Chuo Street first just because that's the fastest way to do things. But there is a way of progressing through this level without going to Chuo Street, and we will see that in just momentarily.
And also we heard that Hayashi hasn't eaten breakfast this morning, so hopefully we won't see him later and we'll give him a day off.
So that train station that we were just at there spraying graffiti on the wall is the way you're supposed to progress.
Yeah.
The gate is locked. Wizard Jam would break it open so we can proceed if we beat them, but instead we're just going to go around it.
So, yep, so we're just going to jump outside the map, don't worry about it, this is normal.
Walls are a suggestion, sometimes. Particularly in Chapter 2.
Yep. And now we're on the other side of the train station.
Yeah, so we take that death warp, which we're not supposed to be able to reach from this side of the level, and therefore the game thinks, well, you've clearly gotten to the second half of the level, so we'll put you right back there.
Yep.
And that allows us to proceed as normal and just continue on with our graffiti route. Coming up is the one single cop fight that we'll be doing in this level.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. There are 3, but we can avoid 2 of them.
Yeah.
They tend to put them around sprays so that when you go up to spray something, you get ambushed by the police.
Yep. Speaking of music, oldie but goodie, that cop fight. Classic strategy. And also, I'm just getting lost in the music actually, I'm gonna be honest. Oldies but goodies is one of my favourite tracks in the game.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that stuck with me most from this game, from playing it casually back in 2002 when it released, was the music. There were songs that I continued to listen to for years and years and years after I'd finished playing the game, and then coming back and picking up the speedrun got me right back where I was in listening to all this amazing music. Coming up next, we have
A fun cop skip.
the second most precise trick in this level.
Yeah.
I want to spray this here and not get any closer, because this would spawn the largest cop fight in the game.
Yeah, they really went all out. It's my favourite cop fight in the game because the devs just thought, you know what, it's fun to go and knock them down, like Skittles. They didn't care for the fact that the Xbox couldn't handle it.
Yeah, the game slows down a lot when there are lots of models on the screen, and you'll notice in a lot of the levels there are pedestrians around that use very, very low detail models to avoid this, but things like rival characters and cops use full detail models, and so when there's a lot of them on the screen, the game does tend to slow down a lot.
Yeah, but we don't need to worry about that, which is good.
Yeah, we'll just avoid that fight, and then we're never back in that vicinity since we sprayed all the graffiti up there, so we'll just drop down and pick up the last 2 pieces that we haven't gotten so far. We'll pick up another graffiti soul here on the roof.
So it sounds like we've got a minor cache issue with audio. Normally the best song in the game would play, but I think it gets DMCA'd, so it's got a replacement for neutral play. It's not DMCA'd, but it's like, you know, try and avoid it. But this song would usually be a song called Birthday Cake, which is a community favourite, and a good time for me to wish Ayla Soon a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Ayla.
Happy birthday. But yes, we are now going to leave Crocodile Heights, which I didn't get the chance to mention is my favourite level in the game.
Oh yeah.
But I tend to
it's
say that
really
about
nice.
every level in the game.
Yeah, they're all my favourite level in the game. Let's go to 99th Street now.
Also my
which is
favourite
my
level in the
favourite in the game, yeah. I think 99th is actually my favourite level in the game. We won't get to see a lot of it because there's a lot of like detail that just kind of gets removed by just going through the level, but if you play this game casually, go to this level, if you just go around, especially light side, there's so many like small details. You've got people like gambling on horse racing. You've got it just makes the world feel a lot more alive because you've got all these NPCs kind of just doing things.
For a game that is designed inherently, I think, for you to go fast through it, there is an immense amount of detail in these levels. And visually, this is perhaps the most striking level in the game. But yeah, it isn't just a large-scale thing. There are so many small details that you'll notice if you just spend some time. And playing this casually even now, which, you know, this game only gets better as a casual game when you learn to speedrun it, because the movement just makes the game more enjoyable, and learning the routes to the levels makes the game more enjoyable. But yeah, I would still spend some time in this level just looking around, just messing around. we're going to do another little out of bounds here. This level is split into 3 main sections. We call them
Squadron
dark
commander to
side,
all
light side,
personnel. The
center.
suspects have returned. If you get them in your sights,
We basically
fire
just
at
get
will.
to light side quickly, so we call it quick light.
Full will, by the way. Oh,
Just gonna skate around this
Yeah,
wall.
that's fine.
Fortunately, again, walls tend to be a suggestion in this chapter of the game.
yeah. Just gonna go the normal way. Usually you'd get on top of the building there, but I think I just undershot it slightly. Not a problem though. The real issue is if I missed it entirely, I'd have to go back to center and do the whole trick again. So not having that happen is pretty nice. Thanks, game.
Yeah, so now we're just facing off against some spotlights. There's a guy with a gun, but less threatening, I feel, than the tanks. It does make you think that maybe they intended you to do maybe
Jewish Street.
Rokokuda Heights, then 99th Street, and then Jewish Street by the degree of escalation of the police, but we found a
Yeah.
faster way. So this is, I believe, the most graffiti that we'll have to spray in any level for a little while. 34 sprays. This is one of the largest levels. It's another very wide open level. And as we mentioned, it's a lot of fun to explore. But it's also a lot of fun to speedrun and find the ideal road through. Especially there are a ton of tiny little micro movement optimizations in this level. Every time I see a top level runner play this level, I learn something new that I can implement in my run. Which is, it's pretty great. This is why it is one of my favorite levels in the game. I know I do say that about every level in the game, but a lot of the time I think I have different reasons for liking different levels, and 99th I think is one of the best ones to watch in a speedrun.
Okay, got that. That's great. So we're leaving light side now. There's a few graffitis up here that we just want to get. Hoping my phone alarm doesn't randomly decide it wants to turn on at this section, like it has in the past. So I've fallen down here before, but looks like we're good.
Yeah, so kind of in the intended route, I suppose you could say. You're expected to do the central area first to find a way to climb up, but since we go to light side first, the route just naturally kind of puts us where we need to be.
Yep, so here we're going to swap characters.
To all squads.
You may be hearing that the cops are trying to like tell, you know, call HQ, or HQ's trying to call out, but because DJK has just interrupted us, he's also interrupted the actual spawning of the gunfight. So we were going to have another kind of dark side fight where, you know, you've got all the spotlights and all that exciting stuff. Yeah, we're just going to have it phase out of existence, really.
Yeah, as I said previously, this would be on test. When the police are talking, the fight doesn't start until they finish talking. And if we find a way to stop them talking before they finished, the cockfight just simply doesn't spawn in this level. So yeah, we save a lot of time by not having to do effectively 2 laps around this dark side of the level. And in the opening cutscene, DJ Professor K mentioned the mysterious blackout in 99th Street. We're seeing it.
Just going to jump up here. Boost over here, hardest jump in the game coming up. Easy peasy.
One of my favorite jumps in the game. It's so stylish.
Yeah. It's one of those jumps that it looks really difficult, but in reality it's just hold left. I mean, no, it's really difficult. If you don't know this game, you know, please clap. It's the hardest trick in the whole game. Nothing gets harder than that.
Absolutely not. Definitely not in the next 5 minutes or so. Yeah, I think I can highly recommend playing this game to anyone. Playing it casually is a great experience, and then even learning basic speedrun moves and movement, as I said previously, really enhances your experience of the game.
Yeah.
And it also
Poison
kind of
Jam
enriches your
worst
experience of watching the game, because if we haven't played the game, it's kind of hard to understand some of the nuances of the movement, particularly the
Well, I
graffiti
guess it
camera,
just
which
takes
we
a
haven't
little
talked about at all,
persuasion
but that is a
to get
whole
info
beast
from
that
the
you have to
queen of
overcome.
99th Street.
But yeah, it's a great game, which is why we run
It's
it.
one of my favorites. It's one of those games where, like, I was like, I want to speedrun this game to kind of learn more about it, and just like seeing how the movement is actually like, it's good casually, like, there's no like major issues, but it's also just like so much better once you know all the intricacies from the speedrun. So here we're going to do a flag race. Normally, Rapid 99 is going to go to like a bunch of flags, and it's going to be a race from one to the other. However, we've got a better idea. We're just going to chase them for a second. Kind of knock these two closer together. And then, if this goes correct, praying, okay, Hey!
Excellent.
So you can see here, let's have a quick look. They're just kind of running into the water. So on the other side of this bridge is the flag they actually want to get to. There's also a bear that says show to our right. But because they're trying to get to that flag, they just keep jumping into the water or falling into the water. And eventually, they'll die, and we just win. So that's the reason they're not in the rest of the story. They are canonically dead. And it's not just the writers forgot about them.
Stylish and funky way.
Yeah, definitely
Jet
not.
Set
But yeah, that's very new in the scheme of strats that have been implemented into the any% run.
Yeah, which I found, because I was being an idiot, frankly. I was like, oh yeah, what if we do a kill strats percent? That sounds like a really dumb category. How would we do that for Rapid 99? And so I just posted about it, and someone in the Discord goes, I think it was 7days, said, you know, this is actually kind of faster than what we're doing at the moment. I'm like, oh, well that works out really well.
Yes, Acebats has a tendency to enjoy challenge runs of the game, not limited to damageless 100%, and blindfolded. And through these means we've found lots of things about the game that you wouldn't find by playing it any other way, which is a fun.
Which is kind of the joy of it, really. I think like speedrunning is really, really fun, but doing like both speedrunning and challenge runs in this game, you learn so much about it.
Yeah, and in the end, you end up finding fast tech.
Yeah.
So now we're heading off to the best part of the game, my favourite level in the game, the sewage facility.
The death of many any% runners.
Yeah, so this is, I think, the most notorious in terms of major skips that we're coming up to now.
It's got one of the easiest major skips in the game. Oh, frame boost. I didn't get a double. So I kind of flew through the air quite quickly there. So we're going to go to the sewers and follow Poison Jam.
Now remember, the sewers are Poison Jam's home turf. And I don't think they like strangers up in their house, you know what I'm saying?
Good
Another
song.
fantastic song, yeah.
We can do the scrapping. So I'm just going to be bored. We're trapped now, no way out. So I'm just going to jump at the half pipe out of anger.
Yeah, we've been baited. Poison Jam trapped us. Rapid 99 perhaps weren't our friends after all. We beat them up. And they baited us fully into the sewers to no return. Oh, wait.
That's cool. So that is the trick that kills any % runs. We didn't factor that into the estimation because the odds of me actually hitting that was low. So that's nice. Very happy.
So that's known as Cucumber. Effectively how it works is when you enter the sewers, the gate to the next level isn't there. It only appears when you do the intended thing, which is to meet a new character called Garum, and then complete his tutorial, and then talk to him, and then the gate spawns. And by conventional methods, there's no way of getting to that gate before you've done all of that.
By the way, you've just completed bottom point.
Oh, yeah, and then this is also a level in the game, by the way. Yeah, like I said, this game gets kind of crazy with its out-of-bounds stuff.
So if you're following the story at home, Cube here, along with Poison Jam, has stolen that statue in the middle of the screen from Dorizaka Hill, which is why we're so upset. The story kind of takes a backseat in this game, but they put so many small details regarding the story into the game, so it's kind of like, I don't know, it's weird. They clearly
that
cared
helmet
about
is also a reference to JSR.
Yeah, I can't remember like what it's a reference to, but I feel like it's a reference to something.
Yeah, like they did put an incredible amount of detail into parts of the game that you don't expect there to be detail in, which I really like. Yeah. But now we're doing our first tag of the game, where the goal is to spray your enemies to death. So we're going to do that with Poison Jam, who incidentally have the highest meaty stamina, so they take the longest to kill anyone that we're going to be fighting in this way in the game. So this fight does get precise in the fact that they take 30 cans of spray, and we can only carry 30 cans, meaning that we can't really afford to miss one at all. Otherwise we lose a lot of time kind of backtracking cans. Fortunately, there are just barely enough cans here for us to complete this level if we're on the fast routes, since we need a total of 90 of 3 members of Poison Jam. Fortunately, they don't really fight back unless you're standing in front of them, and you have a reason to stand in front of them. You even start behind them.
This is one of the main areas in the game where if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. There's a lot of points in this game where Cube's going to be upset, she's going to run away. There's a lot of points in this game where if it's going well, we don't feel like we have time to explain it all perfectly. If it's going badly, then we can explain to you all day long how badly it went.
Fortunately, we have these cutscenes which allow us to explain more about the game. So, Cucumber is fantastic. Flipping out of bounds there takes us to a death warp that normally
Controversial
would
opinion, depending on the runner.
I don't have to do it in my runs.
True, same.
Yeah. But yeah, like it takes us to a death warp that we normally wouldn't be able to access, so it just allows us to skip the level entirely. Cucumber is incredibly difficult to hit though. So there is actually another strat, which is one of the oldest major skips in the game, called just the sewer skip, and it involves a pretty easy jump over Garum's head for the same effect. But we do have to complete his tutorial first, which takes about a minute. So Cucumber does save a lot of time on
Like
that.
a minute 30, it's ridiculous.
And,
It really pushed the time down really quickly as soon as one person got that in a run.
yeah, for the longest time people thought this is, you know, it's a dream. There's no way it's going to be.
They thought this is stupid. Let's be fair. They thought it was a dumb trick, but then Yayo managed to find a consistent enough setup that it's actually possible to do in runs now. As you can see, you know, I wouldn't have done that a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's again a very new trick in the grand scheme of things, but now it is essential for an absolute top time, top 3, top 5 time is make or break really, which is unfortunate, unless you really enjoy playing the first 3 chapters of the game.
Speaking of, this is chapter 4, so those of you following the story at home, Yo-Yo, the character we're playing as right at the start, has been kidnapped, so he's gone. We actually can't play as him anymore. Imagine.
Yeah, which it's honestly an interesting decision that they've made, because each character has different stats. There are certain characters that share stats, but Yo-Yo actually has a better graffiti spraying speed than the rest of the cast available. But yeah, they did
could
have...
unlock a character with the same stats, but we don't do that.
Effectively, if you wanted casually to play as Yo-Yo in this part of the game, you can't do that, but you can go and unlock Rift in Crocodile Heights, who has the same stats. So they kind of encourage you to do as much as possible in this game casually to get the full experience, which I do like.
HQ to all cars.
So we're in Kage Street.
All units converge on Kage Street area.
For whatever reason, they're going to send an experimental weapon, which we are currently racing. Ideally, we can get to the top of this section, more or less.
Yeah, another instance of trying to do something before the police finish speaking.
This is HQ to all squads.
Nice. So similar to Shuo Street, we're going to try and get to the graffiti gun before the police appear as possible. Kage Street is a very vertical level. There's a lot of climbing involved, which means there's also a lot of falling that can happen.
It's the Rokaku police special
which
terrors. Looks
is
like
not great,
they're here to
but
clean up all the garbage.
fortunately we have quicker ways of
Watch
climbing
your
up than
back.
they
Make
originally
sure you don't get
intended
taken
by
out of
making
dress.
some relatively precise
Oh,
jumps.
that beautiful
This
paint of
level
yours.
is one of the worst levels casually. Doing it as part of the speedrun is so much better.
Yeah, I mean when I said learning speed tech in this game makes you enjoy the casual experience more, just knowing your way around this level is bliss.
I mean, this section level is just one big spiral staircase. This Terradrome will shoot bombs at you. If they blow up and knock you down, you'll go into the bottom of the level. So luckily, we just jump on it and defeat it really quickly. That's how quickly the boss fight could take. Casually, it could take you 5 minutes because you get knocked down a few times. It's one of those. Being able to carry out this kind of movement really helps casual playthroughs.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
Kage
casual
Street
levels.
was, I think, the bane of my existence when I first learned this game, and also playing it casually and having a degree of mastery over it now feels great. So we've defeated the major boss of this level right at the beginning. This is another level that's split into 3 sections like 99th Street, and we can do them in any order. We do this in the order that we do this because you can only perform that fast movement at the beginning of the level to any degree of efficiency at the very beginning of the level. So we come and do the main boss first, and then we'll head off to the other 2 sections of the level where we'll have a couple more boss fights, or cop fights, which are not nearly as difficult.
So we're just going to top up cans up there. We're going to spray this XL.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that there is an abundance of cans in the early levels, because I guess they want to ease you in. Kage Street is where things start to get tough. Chapter 4 in general is where things, even from a casual standpoint, get rather tough. That's a pretty precise jump. Nailed it. And yeah, they don't hand out cans nearly as freely in this levels, which for Hikage Street, which has a lot of graffiti, makes it a lot harder. So we have to be very careful with our can management or canagement.
Yep. Well, and you can see here I'm doing a bunch of short hops, mostly because I boosted in the wrong place earlier, and kind of that's why canagement's so important, because a boost will take 10 cans. So having enough cans to be able to actually carry out the boost dash at a given point and handle the rest of what the game's going to throw at you is important. Oh, that was a good sight.
Yeah, that was very nice. And it's also worth noting the cops in the black armor require a boost to be knocked down. If you run into them, they'll just grab you otherwise. Very close.
Oh, that's fine.
It's the best way you can possibly fail that trick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
we have a lot of cool ways of climbing this level
Gonna
quickly,
do this
and a lot of them are relatively precise. But yeah, it's much
Oh,
better.
okay. That's unfortunate. Let's do it again.
Hey, you get another shot at Quickage, as it's
Yeah.
called. Climbing Hikage quickly, or Quickage.
I'm gonna do that safe, I say. Oh, that was really bad.
Again, though, you
But-
didn't fall all the way down.
Yeah. So now we're gonna do this as safe as possible, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time that can be saved here, just from basic movement. It doesn't really require you to hit super precise tricks. There are some much easier tricks that you can do that still prevent you from having to grind all the way up the spiral staircase.
Yeah, Hikage is kind of notorious for being the level that you just keep falling down on. So like, when you get it right, it's so satisfying to kind of do. But when you get it wrong, it can be quite a rough level to go through,
Yeah.
especially casually.
I think Chapter 4 really is, it's where the game steps things up in terms of difficulty, in terms of challenge, casually and in a speedrun, and the speedrunners, this is kind of the make or break point of the run.
Yeah.
If you're not going
This
for
and the
cucumber
next
players.
level.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be resetting earlier if you're attempting cucumber, which is very precise. But this is, I think, where a lot of people put the most practice in. It's something I practiced for months before ever completing an actual full run, because, yeah, there is a lot of potential time saved and a lot of potential time loss.
Okay, I need to remember that I'm low on cans here. Oh, that was early. That's
Close.
fine.
That's my single contribution to the any percent run.
I'm sorry. If it makes you feel better, I'll miss heli skip as well.
Yeah, that jump and then the subsequent slight reroute of the level is my sole contribution to the routing in this game. We call it lemon for reasons,
Yeah.
but unfortunately...
We like naming things.
We like naming things after food,
We've got
yeah.
cucumber, we've got lemon.
We've got pickle and banana.
Oh yeah, banana.
But yeah, I mean, unfortunately if you're low on cans you can't really do that, so... We'll have to save that one for another run, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once you know the way around this level, it does flow quite well. There's more room for failure, and there's more risk involved, I think, in this level than earlier levels, but that is just the nature of a vertical level, I feel. Fortunately, we skipped the first instance of a real vertical level, which is the sewers. Crocodile Heights has elements of verticality to them, but...
That's what I deserve for trying to be fancy. And let's just grab the soul.
Hikage Street is kind of the first real vertical level that we play in the game. And yeah, you can be punished for your impudence if you fall.
Right, that's the graffiti in Hikage Street. So we're going to follow this up with grabbing the last soul here.
Yeah, another level where we pick up all of the difficult souls you are counter ticking up.
And then we're going to get to, my favourite trick in the game. There's backups if I miss it, but it's, essentially, it's probably a good time to start talking about it now while we're on our way to the area.
Yes.
So the next area we're coming up to, helicopters spawn in, and we have to do a lap of the level and squirrel the helicopters, and we can't actually do any of the graffiti until we do that.
Yes.
Now, like in Churro Street, if we're quick enough, we can actually not have to, we can actually avoid the entire trigger for that fight. But it's very precise.
Yeah, so again, as I said, it will be on the test. The cops are going to start talking, and we need to get out of the effective range of the cop fight before they finish speaking. There's no way to interrupt it like there was in 99th Street. We just have to move very quickly around the first kind of third of the level in order to escape them. Because as we said, when we're fighting the police, we can't spray graffiti, and we can't collect graffiti souls, which means in the intended fashion, they want us to do 2 laps of the level. Even if we weren't to hit the skip, we don't do 2 laps of this level. We do kind of 1.5. But yeah, this is another place kind of where runs go to die.
Weird cam.
Yeah, we've got a weird camera.
With the noise tanks controlling the Immortals,
So yeah,
they've
this is
managed
going to be
spread their
fun.
turf
I'm
all
going to be
the way
quite
out
quiet
here.
for this bit,
Bury
because I'll
all
need
the
to
Immortals
actually
graffiti in
focus.
your home.
We're talking about a leeway of a few frames, kind of, so...
Up until this point, pretty much every major skip has been relatively lenient, except for Cucumber. But even Cucumber is a single jump into a wall. This is a string of movement that takes the best part of a minute, and it has to be frame perfect. Not quite frame perfect, but really close to frame perfect.
HQ to all
So we
squads.
use all of our movement
The gang
available
has
to
been
us,
spotted
boosting,
near Kibo
jumping in the right
Garden.
places,
All
cutting as many
squads
corners
to
as
investigate.
possible,
Repeat,
and
all
keeping our momentum as high as
Aerial squadron to HQ. We have acquired the
tugging
target
that
and
corner
are
as close
commencing
as we
attack.
can, spraying all the graffiti on the way so we don't have
This
to
is
come back.
Hayashi. Don't let those bumps destroy the
This is going to be tight.
Very,
Aerial
very
squadron to
close.
Captain Hayashi. We
Everyone
copy
be
that.
scared. Oh my goodness.
It's good.
Okay. Cucumber and Hey Skip and a Run. You thought it couldn't be done.
That's incredible.
Hey, that rhymes. It is kind of a running joke on my streams. Actually, the last time I got my PB has Cucumber and Heli Skip, but the 99 kill stretch you saw earlier, I missed that and had to restart, so the actual time save on that is minimal. So yeah, this is very exciting. Just hope I don't mess up the cretin cycle.
Yeah, so we're not out of the woods yet. That is a very difficult piece of movement, but it does allow us to spray the majority of the graffiti at the start of the level and everything past it. But we do have to go back around again for the first kind of 3 sprays that we couldn't do on the route that we took. And that means that the cops are going to start talking again, and we have to complete those last 3 sprays before they finish speaking. I would say it's a lot easier than...
Oh, it's easier than the old method for sure.
It's easier than
I
the old
do
method.
this
It's also easier than the escape cycle that we just did. But the punishment for failure is massive in that you will have to do another lap of the level.
Yeah. Which hopefully doesn't happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. This level, I think, more so than almost any other level in the game, is hugely variable in the amount of time it takes, given the intended, I suppose you could say, 2-lap strategy, and then the safe reverse strategy, and then the 3 different variants of heli skip that we have. There is, there's several minutes swing in this level alone.
The variant of heli skip I'm doing at the moment is kind of my other contribution to the game, which I'm quite happy with, because this was kind of something I started doing as just an easier heli skip. But then someone timed it, and it turned out it was slightly faster, so let's see if I can...
Huh? It looks like the pumps are here again.
And the dialogue's a lot shorter,
Authority this time,
so...
boys.
Aerial squadron to Captain Hayashi. We copy that.
Oh,
It's good, and that is
I can relax now.
the
I don't
fastest...
care how the rest of the run goes.
Yeah, that's the fastest method of skipping the helicopters in the game. And yeah, that's kind of really the hard part of the game done. We talked about there being kind of a section of the game between chapters 2 and 4 where there are a lot of out of bounds, a lot of major sequence breaks, and we're kind of done with that now, and it's just like the victory lap of the
Yeah.
last half of the game.
So there's like one more level where we actually have to go around and do graffiti. That level's kind of really laid back. Chapter 4 is like the most intense chapter for me, because you've got Hikage and all those jumps, which you can learn and get good at, and it's not really much of a problem. Followed by Kibo, where depending on how good your PB is, your run can just die if you go for heli skip and you miss it. So it's very relieving to get that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and be able to decompress with this next level,
Yeah.
which is unfortunately there's no major skips in this level. There will be an interesting way of navigating it, which we'll get to, but no major sequence breaks, no out of bounds, none of that nonsense.
I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. This game is just about kind of creative movement and really good movement overall. Like, this level coming up, we're going to fall into the void in very specific areas to actually take us to where we'd want to be. That's a shame, didn't get quite enough cans, but that's fine.
Yeah, so this next level coming up is also it's a bit of an anomaly by the laws of cop fights, because we said up until this point cop fights don't spawn until they finish speaking. This is the one instance where it just happens and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Fortunately, it's this level and not any of the others, because there's time to be saved in this cop fight, but it's not like a massive time commitment.
We'll get to see if I'm sober. This is the cop sobriety test. If you get them easy, you get them well.
All squads in the area investigate immediately.
I mean, with my controller, I'm clearly not sober. I was moving so much there, but actually got it. So that's my snake oil strategy. It works sometimes, and when it doesn't, it's because I lied and it doesn't actually work. Yeah, that's just kind of a way to do it. If that cop fight goes wrong, what will happen is the cops will spread out, and they'll go into different groups, and it's really difficult to knock them all like in one go. Luckily, we didn't really have that issue, and here we've got Hayashi for his last appearance in the game. No, second to last appearance in the game.
It's the last time we'll see him on foot.
Yeah. So he's really upset. You may be noticing the cop dialogue gets a bit weird for Hayashi, which is a side effect of the fact that we've got English voice mods for the cops, so you can actually understand what they're saying. Which, my headcanon is Hayashi's just gone insane after the Terradrone thing. So he's got two different voices now.
Yeah, I mean, we run the game in Japanese because that is the faster method of running the game compared to English, but changing the audio clips themselves doesn't change the length of the text box, so we're not actually negatively or positively affecting the amount of time that's being spent in those events by changing them to English. So it does mean there are certain instances where a certain sentence is a lot longer in English or Japanese, and some doctoring has to be done here and there.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a nice little feature for people who want to hear the English dialogue. It's a very different. Hayashi in particular is a very different experience in English and Japanese. In English, he is very exasperated. The man just missed his breakfast several days in a row.
Yeah. There's multiple dialogues about the breakfast as well. They clearly thought it was important.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important meal of the day.
True.
And yeah, and in Japanese, he's a bit more unhinged, shall we say.
So now we're going to death orb again. This will take us to the start of the level. From here, we're going to just jump over here and do the green to our left. Usually we do this in a slightly different order, but that would put me one hit away from death. And I actually did make a mistake there, so that would actually be fatal. So it's a good thing I took the safe way.
Yeah, in this game there is no auto-saving, you have to manually save. That's slow. If you die, it takes you back to your last save point. We don't save, so if you die, your run is dead. This is the only instance in the game where you'll be down to one hit away from death on the optimal route. We're just going to clip through the floor here, don't worry about it. That's Onion, by the way.
Yeah, it's called Onion because
it has legs. Yeah, so this level, I mean, you've already seen a million death orbs. That's the way we get around this level. It's huge. It has the biggest kind of open space of any level in the game, and casually it takes people hours to get through this. But knowing which death orbs take you further in the level is an immense amount of time saved.
And being able to actually follow the map, like, this is a very big and open level, and like trying to like follow where all the graffiti is on the map isn't exactly easy.
Yeah, they just show a lot of different skyscrapers, and it's kind of hard to pick out which ones are where, and where the graffiti is in relation to that, so you have to kind of build a mental map, which...
I mean, hot take, I think, in terms of the map, this is one of the better maps in the game for helping you find things, but if you don't know the layout of the level, it's not ideal for a lot of players.
Yeah, but getting that mental map in your head and kind of splitting the level up into 3 sections, though it is just one kind of big open level. In the any percent run, we split it into the left side, the center, and the dark, or the right side. and that kind of really helps you get a handle on where you are at any given point.
Yep, so we're wrapping up the level now actually. We've got one more spray after this.
Yeah, only 16 sprays in this level, but it
They're
still
so
takes a
far apart,
lot of
yeah.
time because they are so far apart. You know, this is half the amount of sprays that we have in levels like 99th Street or Kibagalka Hill, but it takes about the same amount of time just because of the sheer size
Oh,
of the
forgot to
level.
jump.
Ah, you're fine.
Oh, I did it again. So this level has probably most of my bad jokes regarding this game. You can just not jump there and it's actually fine, but it does look a bit scary.
It's only bad if you're not looking at the game, which, you know, it's not a problem, right?
Well, yeah.
It's the Immortals.
For context, we did run this game blindfolded. I had to guide Acebats through this level, which
We get
Doesn't have many rails.
doesn't have any rails, which means, yeah, full 360-degree movement is very, very difficult when you can't see the game and you have someone on the other end of the Discord call telling you where to go at all times. Especially when there's the threat of falling into a pit and dying.
So we've got quite a long Taggers tag coming up. We're going to have to spray each of these about 15 times.
Wait a second, no.
The Immortals are tearing up Highway
new tech?
Zero.
That was quick
You're on
Immortals.
top of
That's
it,
got to
right?
be like
Don't let
UTech,
me
sure.
down.
All the Jet Set Radio future runners are just
I'm
hitting
sorry.
their
I'm
heads
sorry.
against the wall right now. I don't know why I started making that joke, but you are intended. That's just how it
think-
works.
A lot of people, when they first play this game, think, wait a second, that's not supposed to happen because obviously it doesn't look like it's supposed to happen. And people come into the speedrunning Discord and they say, wait a sec, is this supposed to happen? Is this a new glitch?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen really much anymore. It's well documented. But yeah, for some reason you do one tiny little bit of the Immortals Taggers tag in SDPP.
They just say you're done.
The Skyscraper District of Faro Park, which we abbreviate like we do with many levels in this game. And then we come to this level, which is my favorite level in the game, Highway
Yep.
Zero. And this
Which
is
we
all-
will
Your
see.
tag and
Yeah,
I'm back
this
to the
is it.
Immortals and
We're gonna
rescue
see it
Yo-Yo.
for now and then briefly later on in the game. There are things to do here, but we can't do them in the any percent run. We believe it was originally intended that you were able to explore this level at this point in the game, but some certain coding issues in the game prevent you from doing that, just because Yo-Yo got kidnapped. That's the thing that's happening in the game, by the way. And because he appears in that
Immortals
cutscene,
done, by the way.
the game thinks that you're standing in the trigger zone. and
Yo-Yo's
starts
in the
to, like,
cage. Now we're in the cage. Yo-Yo's not in the cage. Yo-Yo has betrayed us. Shock.
I
Horror.
never trusted him. Never trusted
Yeah.
him.
I got hit after that cutscene ended,
The
and the
radio
fact that I
show
noticed
to
that
Paris,
is just
the
PTSD
PTA
from damage
and
to
the
sleep.
FBI don't want you to hear. Jet Set Radio.
I mean, would that count in a damage this
It
run?
wouldn't, but like,
The GGs
you hit,
help
you
the
feel the
Immortals
rumble, you're like,
track
oh.
line and
Okay,
syncopated.
so,
The Immortals
Joey's
show,
betrayed us,
let it
we've been
smoke.
kidnapped,
I mean,
the
who
best
would've
chapter of the
thought that
game,
Yo-Yo would
everyone
turn on
loves
his
this
friends?
chapter, it's
Guess
Deathball.
maybe they are royalty
Yeah, so
after all.
Acebats mentioned it right at the beginning of the run. We have this game kind of split into two sections. There is
GGs have
the
been hauled
graffiti
off
section of the
to
game
the
where we're going
site
around to
of the
levels,
Lukaku
spraying
Expo
graffiti,
Stadium,
fighting rivals,
located
fighting
just
police.
off 99th
And then
Street.
the second
Members
half
of
of the
the
game
noise
is,
tanks have just
I
jacked
guess,
the
a
power
boss
supply
gauntlet
at
is the
stadium,
best way to
which is
describe
being
it.
built
We don't
for
really
the
do the traditional
Lukaku
graffiti
Expo.
routes
I
at
got
all
a
anymore.
bad
And it is just kind of
feeling
going
something
boss fight to
wicked's
boss
about
fight to
go
boss fight,
down.
and they are all slightly different in a lot of ways. And we're going to be beginning with Death Ball, or as I like to call it, Death or Ball.
Yeah.
One of the two.
So here's Jazz, great character, we're not going to see much for outside of this chapter unfortunately. Maybe I should start running GG% honestly. Then we're going to talk to the noise tanks. And then Jazz is going to say, let's practice. And we're going to have a section where we can throw the ball, hit her, throw it away, who cares, we're done.
Yeah, so the game decides to put us in this stadium. The noise tanks were in control of the Immortals, and now they have kidnapped all of the Rudies and are making them fight to the death. Jazz doesn't want to die, so she says we should practice, which is basically a 2-minute unskippable section of the game where we don't actually have to do anything.
Yeah, we don't actually practice.
It's the perfect time for me to get a drink.
Yeah. Drinks or donations.
I don't know where my drink is, it's fine. I'll do without. Yeah, so this is, yeah,
Let's see if we get the out of bounds while we wait.
quite literally on rails.
Nice.
Nice. That's going to be important. This will be on the test.
Yeah, once again this will be on the test.
Yeah, so we have Death Ball here, and then we have another very different section of the game coming up after that, and then some more traditional boss fights in keeping with what we've seen previously in the game. But yeah, clipping out of bounds here, we get a good view at this.
If you don't want to see spoilers, look away now, I guess. This is just casually chilling here.
Yeah, people who played the game will know exactly what that is, and we'll be seeing it in about half an hour.
Half an hour. You're,
45 minutes,
you're,
maybe.
Yeah, you're being generous. Probably
Forgot
about
who
40
I was
minutes.
watching for a second.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, you hit Cucumber and Heliskier.
True, just
so
like Yomsa.
I just thought it was a Yomsa run. Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah, we are very much stuck here with no way to skip jazz practice.
I need to remember not to say yes to Jazz, because she will make us do 2 more minutes of this.
Yeah.
Which is time loss that is very easily avoided, so let's
You just have to say no, which is funny because we say yes to every other instance of a text box in the game. Fortunately, this one I think by default puts you on no. Like, I think most of them put you on no by default. So yeah, you just don't press left.
Oh yeah, I think they all put you on no by default, because we always hold left to say yes.
But yeah, we get to appreciate the detail in this game of
Spectators watching this violent death ball sport,
yeah,
which doesn't have a lot of death in it.
Yeah, we've not really had any context of what death ball is. They've just said it's death ball and you have to fight to the death. It'll be explained momentarily. But
it's it's a race, but you hold a ball.
Yeah. So bye bye Jazz. We love you, but we won't be seeing you again. So we're going to begin now with our first round of
everybody's favorite extreme sport, the game where everyone risks their lives for
So
a
there are
shot.
3 rival gangs that we're going to be facing in this section of the game, 2 of which we've not seen anything of up until this point in the game. They could have brought Rapid 99 back, they didn't. So instead we'll be facing the Doom Riders in round 1,
Let the games begin,
which
baby.
are a new gang for Jet Set Radio Future. The majority of characters that we've seen so far have been characters that have been redesigned and kind of reinvented from the original JSR.
Except for Rapid 99.
Rapid 99, the Doom Riders, and I believe Jazz as well are unique to this game and new. But yeah, it's a 2v2 race with Gum and Jazz versus the rivals, as it is in this context.
The Doom Riders used to be called
What we need to do is collect the ball and complete a lap, pass the ball to Jazz, but we don't do that because she'll drop it and then we'll have to start the lap again effectively.
Jazz is
Now they have
terrible
the
at this.
scores in place with helmets.
So yeah, we just have to grab the ball, get ahead of them, and don't get bonked by them. Fortunately, they just skate, and as we established very, very early in the game, skating is the slowest method of movement in this game.
Yeah, jumping on wall rides is actually faster than just skating in a straight line there as well. So we're going to try and like optimize our movement as much as possible here. I say jumping into a wall, don't worry about it. That's RNG manipulation. That's the usual excuse. One good thing about this game is I want to say it's got minimal RNG. Like, I don't think there's a single thing in this game that we can't necessarily control to some degree, except maybe 1 or 2 of the comp fights.
Yeah, the thing about the cop fights is that we just don't quite know how they're supposed to behave. We can kind of isolate individual cop fights and find a setup that works for each of them, but there's no kind of overarching rule for this is what you do to solve a cop fight in the game. We do different things for each fight, but that's really the only instance really of randomness other than a particularly notorious boss fight kind of a little bit later in the game, which I think that's the most instance of randomness in the game.
The
What,
GGs
Yeah.
win!
Just jump right.
The Doom Riders have
It's that
been knocked
easy.
out cold.
I'm going to miss it later, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, not a lot of randomness in this game at all, which is very nice for a speedrunner
So-
because no one wants to reset to RNG.
Yep, so Doom Riders have been brain rushed by the Immortals, which bit of a awful fate for losing.
Time for round
Now we've got the
deuce. Bringers of the
Immortals.
Hey, we know
7
these
plagues, the
Oh
Immortals.
yeah, I remember these guys from earlier. They were quite quick.
The GGs, back for
Yeah, so
more.
this is the only gang that we've actually met up until this point in the game. But we are now going to be facing down the Immortals. And so we've had our ball section of Death Ball. Hopefully it is now
Damn,
time
them
for the
Immortals
Death
are ugly. So
section
ugly, not
of
even
Death
them
Ball.
father could
Hopefully.
love them.
Oh, I'm doing the 3rd lap strats, I'm a genius.
So thinking back to when we defeated Rapid 99 and 99th Street, we basically made them plunge into the water until their health ran out, and that completes the event. That's true for every instance of a boss fight in this game, or at least in boss fights where there are rival characters such as this. If they run out of health, they lose, so it's never actually the intended way for you to win. It is a way that you can win. And in this particular context, by bonking into them and dealing damage to them, we're actually able to end this event faster than if we were to complete a single lap of the
If they
race.
take damage, that'd be great. Yeah.
If they take damage. This is kind of precise, and often, I think, especially for newer runners, it's actually faster just to do a lap. There's a lot of variance.
It does save a decent amount of time, but like, yeah, if this happens, then it's kind of a bit
Yeah,
bit up in
sometimes
the air.
you'll hit them and they just won't take damage, which is unfortunate. They have kind of invincibility frames, and it's generally not particularly consistent for people who don't have a real handle on the movement of the game. But yeah, fortunately, the Immortals and the next game that we're going to be fighting have the lowest health of any character in the game. It's almost as if this was made to be in that we can clip out of bounds in that particular place at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah, the AI breaks when you throw the ball out of bounds, and they just stand around. The fact that they have low enough health so that blocking them
years, they ain't got no
is
brains left
fast.
either, know what I'm saying?
It all just comes together. We don't do it with the Doom Riders because they have one of the highest health stats in the game, and it would just be faster to do a lap.
The devs really accidentally broke the parts of the game in perfect ways.
Yeah, like really, it does feel serendipitous, if you will. And here's a returning game from Jet Set Radio.
The
Love Shockers again. The only instance of them we're going to see in the game as well.
There's some like post-game, I suppose, content.
Very little, unfortunately. They tried to do a lot with this game, and the overall product it's still a great game. It does feel like maybe it was a little undercooked in places.
Preaching a message of love and
I mean,
makes that lovable team of psychos.
I mean, as part of a league, I say a league, like
who's gonna bear the brunt of their message
a
today?
big bundle of original Xbox games and like, nice. Like original Xbox games and prototypes got released a while ago, and there was one for Jet Set Radio Future in the list, and it was like what, a month from release or so?
Yeah. It's a very different game. Yeah, so the prototype release of Jet Set Radio Future was found leaked on the internet quite a while ago now, actually, like a year ago or something. And yeah, it's the game as it was a month before release, and there are some fundamental differences in how it plays.
Yeah, like shuffling just isn't there.
Yeah, half-pipes behave completely differently, and they already behave in a particularly awkward manner in this game, but it's worse than the prototype. If it's that was good. There's a lot more graffiti in every single level as well. 99th Street, I think, is notorious for having just an absolutely monumental amount of graffiti. But yeah, I mean, for what it could have been, given that prototype, the finished product is a massive, massive improvement, and it's still a great game.
Oh
yeah.
The game's been interrupted.
So here's one of the longest cutscenes in the game.
Man, who called these fools?
And this is the only cutscene in the game, as far as I'm aware, that's longer in Japanese than it is in English. There's a cutscene later on that balances that out by a lot, but in this one instance, I actually really find his jokes funny. It's just like watching one of my streams.
Yeah, this is a solid minute or so of Hayashi just laughing to himself. He's finally lost the plot.
Someone was kind enough to let me know you're here. Now's my chance to take care of you once and for all.
So he's going to laugh for a bit. This is Terror Drone 2, and while there's one more thing we need to spray, it's infinitely easier than the first one.
Yeah, there's no threat of falling down at the bottom of the level this time around. We're fighting it on the ground. It moves around a little bit, but we won't get the chance to simply
Don't
just
try
spray
any
it.
funny business either. It's already getting late.
That it is.
Funny jokes by Hayashi.
Terror drone showed up again.
Certainly is
Get
getting
rid of
late.
them for good this time, man. I'm telling you.
So let's jump up here.
That's that one additional spray.
There we go, done. That's it. That's Hayashi. So next chapter in the game coming up is
Guinea pigs?
the best chapter in the
What was
game.
I thinking?
I think it's fair to say, and if you disagree with me, I am sorry to inform you that you are incorrect.
But scrap metal now.
Yeah, it's a very different style of gameplay from literally the entire rest of
The
the game.
station that'll teach you the
Even
things
though
your
this
parents and
boss rush
teachers
is
are
very
too
different
afraid
to
to.
spraying
Jet
graffiti
Set
and all those kinds of things that we were doing in the first half
Now,
of the game, the
class,
movement
open your books to
generally
page
stays most
32.
the same. And then they throw this level at us, or
Yo-Yo's
this,
gusty plans got
this
messed
chapter.
up by those
It
idiot
is
cocky police.
a lot of very precise
And that
movement,
backstabber Yo-Yo been
because
trying to take
all
down
these
the
noise
GG
tanks
from the get-go.
that are running
The
wild
noise
across the
tanks are
city,
pissed. They must have
Well,
fried
we're
some
gonna have to,
circuits, 'cause now they're rioting in the
have to put them
street.
in their place.
Is
Yeah,
there
the noise
anyone
tanks are
out
very
there who can
upset.
stop those
So we're gonna have to do
rampaging
something about. There's now just about 200 noise tanks just chilling.
There's about 400, I think.
Yeah, but we need to get rid of 200. There's just so many of them, and I don't know why. What did we do to them? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, at any point we were dealing with 1 or 2 noise tanks during
Yeah.
Death Ball,
There's the
and
bell,
then suddenly there
and
are
it looks
hundreds
like
and hundreds and
competitors
hundreds
are
of them
already good to
across
go
the
in
world.
concrete
It's almost like they're mass-produced, but like
Run
I
into
can't
them,
imagine
check it
any
out.
organisation having the funding to build this many noise tanks.
Yeah. Suspicious.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's fine. Yeah, so all we have to do is run into them, but the movement here is very different to everything else we've been doing in the game up until this point.
Yeah, so you'll see a lot of kind of quick turns and trying to bump into these noise tanks. We can afford to miss a few, but not a lot, so I'm gonna have to kind of try and keep an eye on how many I've hit. There are a few like backup noise tanks that I can grab if like worst comes to worst, but
Hey,
I
remember
think
that soul? Remember that soul?
that's all.
That soul. That's the one that we unlocked right at the beginning
Oh,
of the game.
yeah.
The only soul that we unlock, and we pick it up right here. It's actually the last one that we need to satisfy the requirement for the rival character who will be appearing shortly. So that's number 20.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 more because I missed bus
Oh,
jump.
right, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
don't let me forget that.
in the optimal route,
Yeah.
that would be the last.
If I didn't have a
that we
major
pick up.
skiller shoot very early on in the run.
You made up for it, I think.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's naturally where the Graffiti Soul route ends, which is kind of appropriate, kind of a bookend, given that it's unlocked in the very first level of the game. And yeah, they just wanted us to experience these early levels again, I guess, so we come back to...
Yeah, they only actually spawn in 5 levels of the game, and we go to all 5 and just get the fastest ones possible. Oh.
Yeah, so we come back through the Shibuya-cho side of the map, kind of do a little loop, since these are some more open levels. The Kogane-cho, which is the Rokokuda Heights and sewers part of the map, is kind of linear to a degree. There is kind of a hub world in the sewers where you can get to different levels. And the dark side of the map, or Benton-cho, which is 99th Street and other levels, is also quite linear in that you kind of go from one level to the next, but Shibuya-cho is a little bit more open, which lends itself well to this. So we pick up the majority of our noise tanks in this part of the map.
Yep, we should get dialogue here, perfect.
Excellent. DJK
That's very good
notifies us.
Yeah, he's just there to kind of say, hey, you're doing a good job. You know, good luck, we'll counting on you, kind of.
Yeah, he's a progress marker for us more than anything else. He makes us make sure that we know exactly where we need to be. I think he notifies us at about 100, about 150, and 190 noise tanks, or thereabouts, and we need 200 to complete the challenge, as it were.
Yeah. So minor detour here, but really it's, you know, on the way. So we're just gonna hop over here and get this soul. Remember when I jumped this soul and missed it?
You got a great soul.
It's fine, the world record holder did that all the time when they started out, so that's all the souls we need.
Yeah, well, some would say it's the hardest trick in the game, bus jump. But yeah, that's every soul that we need, 20 of them picked up for a total of 40. That's what our good friend Clutch is going to require of us once we finish this chapter. And now we head off to clear off the last few noise tanks from the map. We're going to head to Rokokuda Heights, since there's a few just hanging around at the start of the level there. And then where we need to be is the
99th Street.
99th Street to end this, because we're going to be heading through that level
To a level connected to it.
deeper into Benton-cho, to pretty much the second to last level of the game, if you want to call levels stages.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
one of the
third to
last,
last,
one of the last
depending.
new areas that we're going to see in the game.
It's
They
the last
do-
permanent area, I think we can say.
I mean, there is...
There's 2 other levels.
There's another level that we only do for the purpose of the boss rush in any percent, but we do revisit later on in completionist categories. And then there are a couple of temporary levels that you can't access once the game is finished. But yeah, visually and in terms of gameplay, I think the game really kind of steps it up a bit here. Once we complete the noise tanks flash mob, if you will. the last couple of levels really do show off some really cool stuff that the game has done. And knock these guys.
So we're just going to get all these, and if we do this well, we can get them all in one sweep, except for these last few.
There we go, 10 left to go.
Okay, I wasn't counting, I'm hoping I got it up there.
You should.
I mean, there's
definitely.
plenty up here, so it's not like it's a problem. Oh, didn't mean to trick jump. Oh,
That's something we have barely had time to talk about, as is the nature of this game. When you're jumping at certain speeds, you'll perform a trick jump. So at high speed there, you'll see that is a trick jump. When you're at certain lower speeds, you'll do a short hop, which is a lot faster.
well, it's all down to air time.
Yeah, trick jumps keep you in the air for longer. They also prevent you from taking fall damage if you take a long fall. Don't try that in real life. There are times where you'll want to be trick jumping to avoid fall damage and to stay in the air for longer to make certain jumps, but there will be times where you want to just be short hopping, which may mean reducing your speed so that you get a short hop, because it's actually faster in the long run. It's another degree of mastery in this game.
I had a moment there.
Yep, that was
Very good that I didn't follow through. So I'm not supposed to boost there, because we need the cans for this fight coming up.
Yeah. Now is the next instance of a tagger's tag. This one is in an area we haven't seen yet. Visually pretty impressive.
Of the ancient dragons still echo throughout the playgrounds
99
of
Street
the
is my
heavens.
favourite area of the game,
Sky,
but this is up there
Dinosaurian Square.
when I'm not doing damage
Now,
lists.
according to Poison Gems,
Yeah, I wasn't very good at this game when I played it
Yo-Yo's
casually,
guidance
and I couldn't make it
kinda
past sewers,
Go
which I
find
think was the case for a lot of people. To be fair, I was 7, but that's no excuse. I should have just gotten better.
This
So I
is
never
the
got to
last
see
some
this.
booty, y'all.
I never got to see
like
this.
the last
Yo-Yo.
bit where it can really mess me up. So this whole level's over a bottomless pit, and if this fight goes well, we won't really have time to explain it. If it goes badly, you'll get to know what's going on. Oh yeah, the yo-yo that trapped us earlier was actually a fake.
And Cube shows up to tell us that. Bye, Cube. She's gone. Last we'll see of her in this run. So another instance of a tagger's tag where we've got to spray every
his color's
enemy
been blown.
down.
It was nothing but an imposter. Overheated with anger.
So yeah, that yo-yo was
Choice
an
takes
imposter.
behind all this.
Really ahead of its time with the dialogue, really. Predicted meme culture and all that.
Anyway, we're spraying these noise tanks down. This entire level is quite literally on rails, and fortunately, again, another thing we've not talked about in the movement in this game is when you're on a rail, you can perform trick by pressing the X or the Y button, and that keeps your speed up unless you're heading downhill where your speed's automatically maxed up. The reason that we can gain on these noise tanks in this on-rail section is because they don't perform tricks on the rails. So when they're heading downhill, they're at maximum speed, but if they're heading uphill or if they're on a straight line, they actually lose speed over time, so you can catch up by performing those tricks, which...
Really handy. Oh yeah, big
without
plot
that-
twist. These noise tanks were actually cyborgs that were created by Rikaku, so they actually weren't just a rival gang. They were, I guess, planted by the corporation to try and disrupt the Rudies.
And since they have failed, as is the nature of the game, escalation.
Yep. Boom.
Super bass out of space in your face,
So
baby.
yeah, that
Jet
is
Set Radio.
is that chapter
We're
6?
kicking it live.
So yeah,
even
we've
in the
got
furthest
one more
reaches of
level,
the
then a boss
galaxy.
rush,
And to all
and
you
then
aliens out there,
we get to the
I
final
know you're
boss.
planning
There's
to invade
quite a
us.
bit still to do,
Whenever you're ready,
but
just bring it on.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
exciting things that will happen
Some of the
very
more
close to one
impressive
another.
parts of the game
Nothing but
coming
a
up.
noise tank in the
I think in particular, this is the last kind of new
Check
level,
this
as
out.
it were,
Oh,
that
yeah,
we're
that's
going
the point. I
to see.
forgot about FRZ.
I don't know what you were talking about then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I thought you
FRZ.
meant Sky Dino.
Oh, I mean, Skydino is a cool level. In the 80% run, we only see it for that tagger's tag, and the same with the next level of the game. We only see it for the events going to be occurring. But you can revisit them in completionist categories on a casual playthrough, and they are really cool levels. And I personally think this is one of the strongest points in the game. I think the next level of the game is a really good set piece in terms of just the way that the game is presented. It has some great dialogue, some great cutscenes, music, and the kind of the narrative climax really starts to become apparent.
Police organization.
I think
gotta be
I really
freaking
like
out
this
by
section of the
now.
run, particularly because noise tanks, the tagger tag we just did, that's like the
Noise
last main
tanks have
thing,
been
that if
wiped
it
out.
goes wrong,
But now,
you
the
lose
gang that got implanted
significant
with noise
amounts of
tanks
time.
and
Yes,
brainwashed
the nature of
is
the
after
level
the
being
GG.
on rails,
Where
and
in the
if you fall
world
off of those
could the
rails, you
real
get
yo-yo
set back at
be?
the start of the level. If you knock into the noise
Defeat
tanks,
the
you can knock
Golden
them off the
Rhino
rails and they go
goons
back to the start of the level.
And
It's
find
volatile.
yo-yo!
Again, tends to be the nature of the taggers tags. If it goes well, it goes well, and if it goes poorly, it goes horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. So this is Clutch. He wants to see our graffiti souls to see if we are worthy of his information regarding Yo-Yo,
And he just takes them.
and then he just takes them and leaves.
So we've just swapped to Corn, and that's just because there's a mandatory swap later. So we might as well just be Corn now, because then we can become Gum when the game forces us to.
Yeah,
So
it saves a couple of inputs,
like,
but
yeah.
we do get to see Korn, who is the leader of the GGs, and we don't actually play as him really for any extended part of the run. Some people do in Chapter 4. Personally, I use Korn every now and then in Chapter 4, depending on how I'm feeling. Nice. Another one.
oh,
Almost.
2 in a row. Like we said earlier, frame perfect. Very cool.
Yeah, so we do get to see Korn for a brief period of time here. He's a pretty cool guy. He actually has identical stats to Beat, and he's first in the menu, so we use him instead of Beat, unfortunately. But yeah, we don't do anything particularly intense in terms of movement with him, so it doesn't really matter what his stats are. Technically, you could switch to combo instead, and it'd be the same amount of inputs.
Yeah.
Combo is notoriously
Harder to control.
harder to control. Slight oversight by the developers here. They left this graffiti stop available in this cockfight.
So, yeah, you may have seen we were getting shot at, but they just kind of disappear.
Yeah, this is how we skipped the second cockfight in 99th Street. We reload the level by going into the graffiti stop. And normally in cockfights you can't spray graffiti, but in this one you can, and the graffiti stop remains there, so you can just skip that cockfight. Normally what they want you to do is chase Clutch around the map. He starts in Kibigaoka Hill, but then you have to fight those cops and
Usually he escapes.
yeah, usually he escapes.
When the
Best
timer
cutscene in the game, by the way.
runs out, this building will go
Boom! Such a good cutscene. There's something about the. You only get to hear him here, but he's giving it his all.
Yeah, this guy.
and French.
This guy was like, you need to be the evil head of a private army. And he's like, yeah, gotcha.
Display of fireworks.
The Golden Rhinos are planting
Yeah,
time
so
bombs
in the natural
somewhere
progression of this game
fortified
and the
residential
escalation of the Rokoku
First,
Corporation,
spray the blue device
they
and
haven't
stop
settled
that
for
timer.
tanks and helicopters and everything else they've thrown at us. Instead, now it is they're going to blow up an entire
spray the blue device
residential
to stop
complex
it.
to get rid of Yo-Yo.
Yeah. And the GG's as a whole.
So we are now on a timer. This is a timed
30
event.
minutes. The run will end when this ends. It won't. That's a joke. 30 minutes is very generous for you. You could literally play this game blindfolded and the timer wouldn't be your main issue. Which we did.
And confirmed, yeah, that did actually happen.
Yeah.
We did this level blindfolded. It was difficult, but we did it. But yeah, the sense of urgency here, I think, is the important thing. It's the first time that you hear kind of the main title theme as well, the concept of love.
Yeah. Or can be one of the
It
first
can
times.
be. This game has like an A-side and a B-side soundtrack, depending on when you enter certain levels and when you return to the garage. In the 80% room, we fortunately get to hear Concept of Love here in this level, which is the first time we hear it in the game, and I think it's really cool. It really just sets the tone for the climactic ending of the game. So the Fortified Residential Zone is a very tall level, another vertical level, similar to Ikage Street. There's also a lot of climbing, which means also a lot forward down, but with some well-placed boosts and
If you are
jumps.
hearing
To
this
skip a lot
tape,
of the
that
levels of
means
climbs
that you have
and
somehow managed to
get that done way
deactivate
quicker.
all
So
of the
instead of
blue
half an hour, it
devices.
takes 2
How
minutes.
interesting. Let's see
So,
how well
yeah, now that we've done the
you
first set of
fare a
devices,
second
the game kind of opens up the second half of the level, which is a lot bigger than this first section.
Yeah, and already this first section is quite big.
Well, it
The
seems
scale
we've
is
stopped the
pretty
blue
impressive.
device.
Oh, I missed
Now
that. That's a
find the
shame.
red one
I
and
guess
get on
this
it.
run one world record then.
That's true. Darn, it was so close to world recording before.
Yeah, we still have a fair chunk of the game left to do. World record will be done in about 6 minutes from now. We're not quite that close, but that jump is known as world record jump if you can hit it. And there's an improved version called universe record jump. Pretty precise. But again, yeah, second verse, same as the first here. More devices to spray. Fortunately, we have complete spray paint in this game. Navigating our way up the fortified residential zone, which visually is completely insane. It makes no sense whatsoever. But
Also, they are blowing up a residential zone just to get rid of the GGs. naturally.
So a couple of well-placed jumps here allow us to... Ooh, nice frame boost.
That was almost an actively detrimental frame boost. I'm really glad I caught that early. That was terrifying.
Yeah, so we continue to climb up this level. There are some guys with guns. The Golden Rhinos are a secret group of assassins who've been sent to deal with us. And they're in here as well as the bombs and everything else that's happening. Like I said,
I'm sure they'll be evacuated before the bombs go off.
surely. But yeah, it really does build to a narrative climax, which I think is really cool about this game. And, you know, the story in this game is simple. It's a little crazy. It doesn't make a massive amount of sense when you think about it.
But it's a good vehicle for the actual gameplay.
But yeah, it suits the way the game is played so well. It doesn't, you know, take a massive amount of your time up.
Let's go down the normal way then. Yeah, the graffiti, when you spray it, can put you into graffiti camera where it looks at the graffiti, and that can actually mess with your controls a bit, so sometimes I'll be trying to do something in the graffiti, and I'm like, nah, you're okay.
Yeah, it's something that's so hard to explain if you haven't played the game,
Yeah.
the way that graffiti camera works. But there will be times where, in order to go right, you need to hold left. That's just how graffiti camera works sometimes.
There's going to be a bit coming up very shortly.
Yeah, we have a cutscene just after this next boss fight. So there's Yo-Yo in this cage here.
Heads up!
But in
We
order
got
to
Golden
rescue him,
Rhinos incoming!
yeah,
I guess they didn't like
jump
you
jets.
messing with the timers. Take them all out.
So if I do this right, this is going to be good. If I do this wrong, I'm going to look like a bit of a clown. So let's hope it goes well.
Yeah, remember when we talked about the game not having RNG?
Nice.
The missiles these jets follow, the fire, are as close to random as this game gets, really, but it's just that easy. You just jump and hold right and hold spray, and it's fine.
Yep.
And we've done it. We've rescued Yo-Yo.
Yep. And now while this cutscene plays, good time for donations.
Jet Set Radio!
We have had a £50 donation from Darth7. Hello to Acebats and Eckler. Thanks for the fun run. Thank you so much for that donation. There's not much time in this run left, so if you do want to get your donations in, !donate in the chat, or scan the barcode if you are in the audience. Thank you very much for that donation. We are just £18 off of 500.
Now I'm
that'd
the
be
star
really
at
good to
the
hear.
top of their black list.
Yep, it's
'cause
all for
I
a good
gave
cause.
you
Thank you,
the
Darth.
lowdown on it. This is the first
So I
time
need
I've
to
been on
remember I
top
need to
since
swap to
the Burping contest in
clutch.
elementary
Yes.
school.
Make
This
sure I
is
don't
the,
forget
nothing
that.
to say
the
except
instance where we finally
let's
change
hit this
off of
joint.
Gum full time. She's carried us through the vast majority of this run
Now,
for her cornering
I hear
being
some
fantastic,
freak that
but
looks a
as we
lot
mentioned,
like
the end of the game is a
showing
boss
his
rush,
face
and
all over Tokyo.
platforming
Even
is
for
kind of
someone who
secondary
likes to play
to
a little dress
being
up.
able to spray
Ain't that a bit
bosses
weird?
effectively.
He's running
And
around
it's a
spraying
very
some
strange
crazy
way that the game
graffiti.
calculates it, but effectively
Does he have
having
any
a
connection to the
slower
Golden
graffiti spray
Rhino?
speed is more effective against bosses and worse for spraying graffiti
If
in
the
the
Golden
world.
Rhinos
Yeah.
were out to
So
rock through the
Clutch,
streets
who has
like
the
this,
slower
Tokyo's
spray
done
speed,
for.
is really
Somebody
good for fighting
stop
bosses. He can
And
also
has
hold
more
5
cans.
more
Yeah.
cans. So in this instance where we're not spraying graffiti in the world, we are just spraying bosses, he is the perfect character. Except he's not, because Jazz is. She shares the stats, and
Very
she's
true.
cooler, but we don't unfortunately unlock Jazz. Oddly enough, though, we helped her out in the
There ain't no
Rock Stadium.
superheroes to
The
save the
Death
day in
Ball.
the
She doesn't
world.
join us. We have to go back and unlock
It's
her.
all up to you to take on the
And
role
characters like
yourself.
Rapid 99 and Boys of Jam are
Low
also
life
unlockable. You have to beat post game in order to do that.
Highway
They
Zero
aren't unlocked
is
over
in
the
a
course of
sea
the
of flames.
80% run, unfortunately.
Golden Rhinos are laying waste to the street,
But yeah,
showing
we
no
play as Clutch
mercy.
because we have to
You
in
gotta
this
stop 'em.
instance. But he's the right character for the job. Again, kind of very appropriate that the game gives us Clutch at this point in the game when we need him the most.
Yeah, I should really boost here, but I like doing it this way because it makes it easier to set up for the fight.
Yeah, so we've had some kind of creative takes on platforming and boss fights up until this point, but now we kind of return to the staple that was established earlier on in the game, which is knock someone down and spray them a lot. In this case, it is
The claw guy,
The
he
claw
has
guy.
claws
Golden
and
Rhinos
a
to
cigar.
throw Chuo Street into panic. Take
That's how you know
down
he's
that
evil.
twisted
You know,
bug.
Yeah.
claws and a cigar.
it's a good trope.
Okay, this might not be. Oh, okay,
He
no.
got you right in the face.
Okay, that's a shame. Should be fine though.
Yeah, there are fast ways of doing this fight. If you are very precise on your turning, you can keep knocking down and spray him before he has a chance to grab the wall like that and head away. But it's not too much slower to do it this way. You just have to not stand on top of him because he will deal damage to us.
There we go. Just that easy.
Knock him down again.
It's a shame we couldn't do 0.5 or whatever.
Yeah, so that's what we would call a one-cycle claws fight. This is one instance of him climbing up on the wall there. Zero cycle is optimal, it's when you knock him down before he has a chance to do so. And then there's also 0.5 cycle where he does grab the wall, but we follow him. You can actually grind on that rail, which is how you're supposed to knock him down. And if you respond quickly enough, you can actually you can follow him immediately rather than having to go and pick up extra cans like Acebats did with the one-cycle method. So another instance of there being a lot of different ways to do things in this game, and I think that's one of the things that makes it such an accessible speed game, is there are so many different ways that you can do anything in this game for the most part. There's nothing that I would say is like too difficult to pick up, because there's always an easier way of doing it that isn't like tremendously slow. You did briefly see, as we're leaving the level, there's more graffiti now that has spawned at this point in the game that we are not required to spray. There are also some...
I wish I knew that when I was growing up.
Yeah, they don't really tell you that there's more graffiti to spray,
They
but they
just
also
add more graffiti.
yeah, but they also don't tell you that you're not supposed to spray it, so it's kind of left up to your interpretation. But for completionist categories, it's required that you spray all of that, and it adds another hour to the run, because there is a lot of it. There's more graffiti in every level in the game that we've been to up until this point, and also there is graffiti in the levels that we hadn't had the chance to do graffiti in previously, which is the Sky Dinosaurian Square where we fought the noise tanks, the fortified residential zone where we rescued Yo-Yo, and also Highway 0 where we're actually heading now.
Graffiti percent, or, you know, what is the graffiti percent? What is it called? There's so many categories.
Well, we do have graffiti percent for spraying all the graffiti, we have souls percent for collecting all the souls, we have GG percent for collecting the unlockable characters, and then we have 100% no post-game where you do all of that and not the post-game content, and then true 100, not true 100%, but
I mean, we've got true 100%
there is
at
true
some
100%,
point.
but then there is also 100% where you do all of that and every individual level that you unlock at the end of the game.
Yep. And then true 100%, which hasn't happened yet.
True 100% is doing all of that and more obscure things that you don't actually get anything for doing, but you know. Yeah. I think the 100% world record is just under 7 hours. So this game is...
hours? That sounds
it might be 6.5 now. I know Yayo has been really grinding to get the time down. I'm not paying too much attention because that's a long, long run. I don't have the attention span for that. I barely have the attention span for the hour and a half.
It's a good run.
If that's your particular flavor.
Jetpack.
Yeah, there are parts of the game that are just auto-scrollers in 100%, unfortunately. But some people enjoy that. It's more of a casual, quote-unquote casual viewing experience, I suppose you could say, as opposed to the very intense any percent runs where everything's happening so quickly. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can play this game. We also have loads of different variants to play the game now. We've created a co-op mod so that you can play the game cooperatively online, which was not a feature in the game originally. There's no Xbox Live support.
Get back here.
We're now fighting the flamethrower golden rhino assassin, who is much more simple to defeat, but she gets up quite quickly compared to other rivals that you've had to knock down previously. But yeah, we have co-op, we have bingo as well, and a randomizer. So there are so many different ways of playing this game.
Acme Corporation Billboard. Shoutouts to the developer that made that.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Another fun thing that we can do in this game is custom textures, which you'll notice with Acebats with BT in particular, but there are certain instances where you can modify the textures in the game mode as well, and someone one day said, wouldn't it be funny if that billboard was an anvil? So I made it an anvil.
One of the greatest I've ever made.
Yeah, we have fun with this game. In terms of the story, DJ Professor K has now been kidnapped because he's been helping us to defeat the Golden Rhinos throughout the course of the game up to this point.
And the Macaco Police.
So they've kind of cut him off at the source, and now they're taking him away.
And also he runs a pirate radio station. That's probably also a crime.
I mean, that is illegal, but again, I feel like there are more pressing issues that the Macaco Police could be taken care of, but apparently this is the most important thing to them. So just another instance of hitting good death warps in Skyscraper District to take us where we need to be. This is the route that we took to get to Sky Dino to fight the noise tanks. This time around, we're going to head the other way. This is Zero
This
Beat.
person who looks a lot like Beat, because you know, that looks like Beat apparently. He's got the thing on his head, so that's all you need. very much a Sonic and Shadow scenario where everyone's like, oh, that's
I'll make you eat those words.
What do you mean make me eat those words?
But no, yeah, you're right. Zero Beat is kind of not very well explained by the game. The story kind of loses a little bit of its coherency at this stage of the game.
They
but
were probably running out of dev time by this point.
fortunately, the gameplay is still solid. Well, I mean, some would argue that this boss fight is perhaps less than solid. This is a train, apparently.
Apparently.
Created
the
by
game
someone
gets
who'd never
weird.
seen a train before. But yeah, this is another
I
kind
don't know,
of
I took a
on-rails.
train here and it looked just like this.
I don't know what train you're taking, but it's very different from the one that I took. Yeah, so this is another on-rails, quite literally, boss fight. Speed management is very important, not hitting those popcorn electrical shock thingies is important, because if you fall off these rails, catching up is really difficult. But fortunately, as with a lot of boss fights in this game, if it goes well, it goes well.
Yeah, that's the train fight. Don't worry about it. It just happened.
There's just very little room to improve on a good fight in Train. It's just kind of good.
There is, I think, a slightly better setup for it, but I don't think it's widely used because it's just, we're so used to doing this.
Yeah, and then there's the issue of the amount of cans that you have at the end of the boss fight immediately translates into the amount of cans you start the next boss fight with, which heavily impacts on which strategy you can use for that. Also, the game slows down a lot.
Yeah, you can see the
hilarious.
frames. On the top left, we've got an in-game time counter, which counts the frames, and you can just see it slow down. Oh, we got English Goji.
Yeah, this is a fun fact that everyone likes to bring up is the big bad here is voiced by Charles Martinet, voice of Mario and Parthenax.
Mario, Parthenax, Goji, you know, the three main characters that any voice actor should have in their career.
Yeah, it's just, that's three, it's the holy trinity of gaming.
So while we were busy dealing with his army, he's actually managed to kidnap Digifesque, take over the pirate radio station, which should mean he's a criminal, but he's rich. So, you know, he's got this tower. I think he's stealing some souls from the just civilian, like the people that are just running around. So, yeah, he's just giving it all that.
Yeah, he talks a lot. This is the English cutscene that is way longer. He speaks a lot faster in Japanese. Unfortunately, we're using the Japanese timings with slightly altered English audio, so we get the best of both. So we start the level, or start this final chapter with Clutch, with the cans that we left the train with. 5 is fine.
Should be good.
Because we're going to be immediately flung into another cutscene, and then into the final Tagger's Tag of the game. And a remix of the original Grace of Glory, boss theme from JSR, is used here. It's pretty great. We talked about the music briefly. It is a gift that keeps on giving. It's so good.
Is not finished.
Yeah, so Goji kind of, I mean, he commits a lot of crimes here. All in his pursuit of a perfect world, in his vision, where he controls culture and beauty and the minds of everyone. That's quite dystopian, I suppose. The game is set in the future.
Literally 1984.
Literally 2024.
Yeah.
Canonically,
4 years until this is real life. Get ready. Learn how to skate.
So, yeah, we are going to fight his ultimate creation, his wonderful, beautiful children, who were alluded to previously in the game by some incredible narrative foreshadowing. We're going to be fighting Zero.
Here's Zero Beat, they're going to jump out.
And DJ Big Goji will provide the accompaniment. Alright, everybody. Let's dance.
Right, so this can be a bit of a tricky Tagger's Tag, and I didn't get a dash, modders, etc, etc. I don't know, that's probably the angle I was going at there, but that's fine.
That's a very minor movement point. When you start skating, if you hold forward, you get a dash, you accelerate quicker. It can make the difference in certain very small specific instances in the game. The way that Jet Set Radio handles, or Jet Set Radio Future I should say, handles inputs from the Xbox controller is very absolute, meaning the dead zones are not great. And just general wear and tear on an Xbox controller can make it very difficult to hit hit the threshold that you need to hit in order to get those dashes. Fortunately, we have a universal controller fix that was created by our amazing mod team, who also created the in-game timer mod that we're using, and that allows the dead zones to be much more forgiving and allows everyone to get dashes regardless of the state of their controller, because the Xbox is a 20-year-old console and they're not making new controllers for it, which means either you buy a means of using a third-party controller, or you find old original Xbox or original Xbox compatible third-party controllers. That's the final tag of the game. Zero beat defeated.
So now there's going to be one final boss fight, which is very fun. I need to go grab some cans, but that shouldn't be a problem.
And yeah, somehow by defeating Zero Beat, DJK regains control of his radio station.
To be fair, they were behind him in the cutscene, so maybe they were stopping him. They were slapping his hand away from the microphone.
There's a lot of inference that needs to be made at this stage of the game when it comes to the story. Is this run blessed?
It never is.
There's a random clip that you can get to go through that wall that does nothing, but it is relatively uncommon to see it. But yeah, that is that's all there is for every area that we can go back to in the game. It's now time for the final area and the final boss. But of course, one more.
Is the Wario left? Koji's going to transform into a Kumu, who is scary, terrifying. This level is one of the most interesting areas to me, because you only go here once. They've got, like, it's so, what's the word? Everything's just floating, everything's spinning.
It's crazy, I think it's the best word.
Racing glory in the background.
It's another great set piece, kind of like FRZ. Like, it really suits the climactic nature of the story at this point. It's a bit of a platforming challenge. You have to climb to the top of the level, and then you have to fight Goji as he has transformed into Akamu. In kind of a traditional sense, you boost into him and you spray him, but because he's the final boss, you have to boost into him twice instead of just once.
Wow, really shaking things up. Thanks, Sega.
Which means we need something like 80 cans or something in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, I missed him.
Or more.
Okay, I'll do 2 boosts, and then we'll just spray him when we get back up.
Yeah. So we need to boost him. That's going to break his armor. That allows us to start spraying him. But we need to do that twice.
Oh, okay. Cheers.
He has like invincibility frames when he's attacking, so it's very. Again, it's kind of an instance of when things are going well, you don't notice it, but like if you're ever so slightly slow, or you don't...
The animation starts?
Oh yeah, the animation starts when you're not expecting it. It can really mess things up for you, and require you to climb up here a few more times.
I mean, we've got 1 boost in, so hypothetically we can still get it the way we're intending to anyway.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm pretty sure I fall down in Koji without boosting him effectively in my PV. It's fine, it happens.
There we go. And then we're going to spray him down. When that health bar disappears, that's time. Sorry, I probably should have given more warning, but time's coming up very shortly. And time. And 140. Okay, I'm.
142.
Yeah, that is a solid IGG. What was that RTA, if I can ask?
Can indeed ask. The RTA was 1 hour, 46 minutes and 28 seconds.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a relatively solid run besides just general movement. So it's, yeah, that was very good.
Yeah, you hit all of the major skips, which is really cool. And adapting to, you know, the marathon setting of being in a new place, playing on a slightly different setup. Yeah, it's going to affect your general movement, but you still manage to hit all the major skips, which is great. I think it's a really good showcase of what this game is all about. We showed the bare minimum, and it's still a really interesting and exciting game to see. There are really exciting completionist categories and bingo and rando and co-op. There's so much that we have to offer. Fantastic game. Really, really glad that I found this community.
And plenty of resources to learn it as well.
Yes, that's right. There are now there is a fantastic tutorial available made by Acebats that should help you if you consider picking up this game. It can be run on original Xbox with some hard modding involved, or if you have the game, you can
And
also
the more
emulate it
people are
using the
pushed,
CXVX
the
emulator,
stronger that yearning
both
for
of
freedom
run legal.
becomes.
So
And in
yeah,
the
it's
end,
more accessible
he
now
was
than it's
not
ever been.
strong enough to overcome
Really
that
enjoyable game
power.
to play.
He had been
And
doomed
thank you
from the
UKSM
beginning.
for having us.
However, his
and shout out to
existence might be
Zaikumi.
nothing more than
Yeah,
a
shout out to
symbol of the
Zaikumi.
guilt that
Also,
people feel for all
really
their
cool to
greed and
do an
desire.
in-person event
Or
since
perhaps
we both
Tokyo
kind of
has
found this
shown
game
that
in
it is one
2020
giant brother.
when the world just kind of shut
Perhaps
down.
he too
And
realizes
there have been
in the
plenty of marathon runs
Those
online,
that
but
seek the
getting to
truth
come here and do it
will fight
in
tooth
person
and
was
nail to
fantastic.
find
So
it.
thank you for
Better
having us.
believe that. And so,
Well, I am glad that
radio
you
once
both
again
enjoyed
plays
yourself.
static
I can tell you that
worn
we
out
back
tunes.
here all enjoyed the
And
run,
the
and I'm
TV
sure the audience
will
did
return to
too.
be nothing more than a
That is
square
going to be the
plastic
end
box.
for UKSM
Our world is normal
I69.
now.
I know,
But the
very
graffiti
sad
left on the
times
walls will
indeed.
remind people
But
of their inner
UKSM isn't going away
It'll
forever.
burn
We've
into
got
their
things in
mind.
the pipeline.
the
Hopefully
dreams of the city
something
will be
new for
carried
this
on
year.
through the streets.
But for now,
People
that's
gonna
all there is. So I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all for helping us raise £482 and 1 penny for special effects. That is going to go to great help. Keep going. Oh, that was pretty much it. Yo, what do you want?